Hey all, Natalie here, and it is time for our design team YouTube hop from A Cherry on Top. Today we are using difficult to use papers. That's right, you can see this photo paper. It's a photo on the background of the paper and it already has a title on it. And I personally find those very difficult to use. That is a paper from Paper House Productions. And so I'm going to show you my version on how to use that using my style. There's all kinds of ways to use it, but this is what I'm doing today. So I have a white cardstock with gesso, and I just I needed a little more gesso because I hadn't taken into account cutting off the branding strip. So I added some gesso to that white cardstock, and now I'm using my scissors to fussy cut along the horizon of the paper. So I'm basically cutting the sky off, and I'm going to use just the bottom half of the photo paper, which is a photo of a lake. And then I'm going to create a mixed media background on the rest of the page. And I think this was Sarah's idea, and she said, let's show everybody how we like to use busy papers, or papers that are almost already a layout, that we maybe actually kind of find hard to use, which if it's already almost a layout, I'm not really sure why we find it hard to use, but I do. And I don't think I'm alone. So anyway, this was a challenge, but it was really fun. So this is a photo of myself and my family on my parents' new boat last summer. And so I wanted to scrapbook that fun little selfie. And so I felt that would be a great little spot to put it. So I used my spritzer and I went ahead and added water to the gesso portion of the background. Now I'm using my Brusho's powdered watercolors and yellow ochre. I'm using this little scoop, and I'm just going to sprinkle it onto the wet portion of the background. Do you see how it's already like spreading out and fading really beautifully? I love that look, but I actually decided I wanted more of a like solid yellow going on at first. We're going to do a couple layers. So I just added more water, and that paintbrush, by the way, is what came in the May cherry box, and it is fabulous. So I just added additional water so that I get a lot of movement with my watercolor here, and I'm just going to like roll it around the paper. I get this big streak off to the side, but it actually is right where I'm going to put my photo, so it didn't really matter. So I roll it around, really technically there. And there we have the dried one. And I'm loving how that looks. It's just a solid, bright, sunny sky. Now I'm going to add another layer because I love the way that those powdered pigments spread without being manipulated. So I'm not going to use a paintbrush. I'm just going to use the water spritzer and then sprinkle the powder on top and then add a little more water. And you can see they're like little fireworks. They spread out, and there's all different color pigments in that yellow ochre watercolor. So I'm holding it up close. You can see there's orange, there's brown, there's green even. There was a little bit stuck on my little tool there, so I brushed it off, and I'm going to spritz a couple more waters, and then I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to touch it with my paintbrush. I'm going to let it dry naturally here, and you can see here in just a moment what it looks like. Now, they can be a little messy. If you get the little granules everywhere, they do kind of make a little mess. I know my friend Sara might not use those because of that, but look how pretty. That's so fun. That just naturally occurred on the paper. So I'm super happy with it. So anyway, just make sure you clean it up really well. So before you start putting your other items back on it, like if you turn your paper over to add glue, you might want to make sure you're not getting granules of watercolor on that paper, which is what I'm doing right here. I'm just going to use my ATG gun to add some adhesive to the back side of the fussy cut paper and add it to the bottom of the page, so that I have like a little scene. I have the lake and the dock and then a sunny sky. Yeah, that's what I'm going with here. So I'm going to stick my photo right there, and I'm going to use the title part of the pattern paper as my title. I just want to reposition it. So I'm going to cut it out as well, and just kind of like, it was really easy to cut. Just cut around the diamond and then around the letters a little bit. And, even though I kind of made it harder than it already is because it's a paper that is basically already almost a layout, but I also added to it, I'm still using it a lot of the way it was intended, and so it still makes my page better. I didn't have to come up with the title. The title is not only already created for me, like spelled out for me, but it's like created. I don't have to use stickers. I don't have to die cut any words or anything. So I'm trying to figure out the best place I would like it. Play around with that. I like it up in the sky, like a little sun. And then I go grab fancy Fancy Pants Lake Life die cut ephemera. And I love this collection. It's super cute. So I just pulled out a few die cuts to embellish the page. So I'm also going to use some stamps on the background as well to add to my yellow background. So I love that little cabin. I'm going to stick that right there. And then I'm going to play around with a few other die cuts to see which ones I want on the page. They're the perfect color palette to go with these, this beautiful background paper. I can't talk, sorry. And also, I'll take this chance to let you know, this is a hop. If you comment on everyone's video, then you will receive points. And the person with the most points will be entered to win store credit to a cherry on top. So I'm going to put all in my affiliate links down below. And I'll also link to my fellow design team members. And you can enter to win because it's a really great chance to win some store credit. And they have anything you could ever want at a cherry on top and more. So I'm using these stamps that say just a few fun things with my Distress Oxide Speckled Egg. And I'm making sure my background is completely dry first, but they stamp really beautifully onto the background. So I think I put 3 different phrase stamps on the background. And then to ensure that the stamping kind of has good cohesion with the background, I'm going to use the same color stamp pad to add a little bit more splatter there onto the background. You'll see me do that here in a moment. So I've stamped in 3 separate areas, and now I'm going to, I think I went ahead and put that down. It would be better if you didn't do that, if you removed all your items first before you did some splatter, but it's okay. I'm going to add a little bit more color because it's a very light color, but I used that same blue and just splattered, and it's really hard to see on the camera, but you can see it in real life, and it just kind of, you know, brings, I'm not sure, I can't think of the right word, a nexus between the stamping and the background. So added that little blue color all around the yellow background. So now I'm going to use some foam tape to stick up the title, as well as I'm going to also stick up the little cabin piece of die cut ephemera, just to have a couple of elements on my page that are 3D and just a little texture and interest. And they're both kind of like angular or triangular. And so I like that those were like a cohesive element in the page. So I was just drying off my splatters and my stamping, making sure it was completely dry. And now I'm going to add the die cut ephemera. And this page came together really quickly, and it was really fun to make. And I'm super glad that we were challenged to use maybe a more difficult pattern paper to create our backgrounds. And oh my gosh, everybody's pages are so good and inspiring. So make sure you hop along and check them out, because if you have these papers in your stash and you've been like, oh, I've been wondering, like, how could I use that? Well, we've got some ideas for you today, y'all. We really do. So I'm just going to stick down a few other pieces. Oh, I do pop up that little subtitle as well. And I think that's it. So like I said, I'm going to have my affiliate links down below, and I'm also going to have all of the links to my fellow design team members so we can hop through and get so inspired. And whew, I'm telling you, these pages today everyone made are so gorgeous. Thank you guys so much for watching, and I would love it if you would subscribe to my channel. I'm getting really close to a milestone goal, and I would love for you to join me. Thank you guys so much. Bye.